in-depth race recaps.
He's shown speed, he's shown dominance at other racetracks.
Pit stops and strategy.
Hell yeah, boys. Let's go. Race strategy, man.
Fantasy racing insights.
Talking about being a team in the summer. We did it. Good job, boys.
Your weekly home for everything Ryan, Blaney, and Team 12.
Good job, Timmy. Here's the big boy, fellas. Thank you.
This is the Team Blaney podcast.
Let's go race for a championship.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 200 of the Team Blaney podcast. My name is Adam Rogers, and alongside me is co-host Steve Mez. This week, we're here to break down Ryan Blaney's run in the Cookout 400 at Richmond Raceway. Steve, that's right. Welcome back. It's episode 200 of our podcast. 5 years later, 200 episodes. Wow, it's been a little bit of a wild ride. What do you think?
I can't believe we got this far. You haven't tried to kill me yet.
Yeah. No, we're good.
I thought somewhere around episode 70, 75, and like, I'm done with this guy.
No, we get to some spirited debates, but not nothing too bad. We like to, as you say, power of positivity on this show, and we like to keep things positive. But no, yeah, we've been a dynamic duo all the way since the beginning. And things kicked off in 2021. This was sort of a pandemic idea where we were bored during the 2020 season, something we'd kicked around for a long time. Team Blaney itself started in 2014, just as like social media channels. And we're like, we have a lot to say. We talk about the race all race long. And Ryan had stopped doing his podcast, and then we saw an opportunity for us to kind of be the voice of the fans, or even kind of bring their voice out. And a lot of it was about trying to give people some different perspective, though, right?
Yeah, part of it was what we had done with Quickest Lap back in the day, in what would only be called a podcast now. Back then, it was a live stream that got recorded and got posted. And it was the same concept. I think we do parts of what we did back then. I think we do parts of it. I think we do it, I would say, better. I definitely think we do it better, especially as close as you can follow the race now with all the different tools that we have to watch and listen with. And I'm hoping that the contacts we've made and things like that give better insight. And like I said something in the Discord chat last weekend, actually, about how hopefully more and more people find it. We're finding a bigger audience. It's growing in different ways. It was originally just audio, and now we've got video to it. And I just kind of hope that keeps growing. I keep finding more and more fans that find it and like what we're doing. Because that's the other thing. Sometimes you and me were talking, and I can see some clicks, or I can see that there's downloads, but until you actually interact with people who saw it and had an opinion and liked certain parts of it, it's kind of hard to just keep doing it and not realize it. People are paying attention, people are listening, and people enjoy it, and that's coming through with the way we enjoy doing it.
Yeah, I think one of the best parts has been kind of, I want to say, watching it evolve. It's been us like helping it evolve as it's gone, but like you said, it kind of started off. We're new to the medium. We just did audio only for mostly like a year and a half. We toyed around with YouTube a little bit, but in the last 2 years, we've really focused more on the YouTube presence and video, and getting our interview segments and everything out there in that format. We started this year doing live streaming the show, which for me was kind of nerve-wracking to do, because especially that whole first year, the show, I was like real meticulous and editing all the audio and getting out all the ums and yas and dead space and things. And you kind of talked me into loosening up a little bit more. And the live show has been fun because we have a chat going on. We don't always interact with that specifically, but it's great to have people following along as we're recording. On our Facebook audience has grown huge, which we think we attribute a lot of that to the fact that Ryan's a legacy driver, a lot of legacy fans on Facebook. But we just actually, as we hit 200 on the podcast, we just rolled over 20,000 followers on Facebook. We have, I think, almost 8,000 on X. Instagram, we're still trying to grow there a little bit. TikTok has been a lot of fun as well. But yeah, so again, 5 years, 200 episodes. We've had the opportunity, and I would say we've been blessed to, like you say, make some contacts. We've interviewed every member of the pit crew and some past members of the pit crew. We've interviewed Ryan multiple times on the show. We've interviewed his original spotter, Josh Williams, was our very first special guest, and I always say he was really key in our the early stages of this show to give us some legitimacy and help introduce us to some other folks on the team and show that, we were for real and we were professional. And he came on multiple times over the years. Had crew chief Jonathan Hassler, right after he joined the team, came on and talked to us. It's just been blessed is a great way to describe it, especially for a couple of fans.
Jonathan, you mentioned Jonathan. He actually set up a lot of interviews for us, especially with pit crew guys. And I got to be more and more nervous about doing this show when I found out that he was listening to the show. He doesn't listen. I'm sure he doesn't listen all the time, but a couple of the interview type things that we did, one time I, had Raymond, when we did Raymond Fox, the third, that interview. And I thanked him. Met him, talking to him in person. I thanked him for doing that interview. And he said, "Oh, yeah." I says, "It turned out great." He says, "Oh, yeah, we listened to it this morning." And I was like, "Oh, man, I hope we didn't, mess anything up. I hope it didn't sound right or sounded right. I hope it sounded good." And all of a sudden, because it's like the guys in the team are even paying attention a little bit. And, he said something during this past off season about just maintain your being honest about what you do. And I think that's probably more important than anything else. And you try to do it all the time, especially with, facts. Here are the facts. Here's what's happened this past weekend. Yes, we are cheerleaders. Well, I won't deny that, but we try to at least give you what happened and how it happened, and not just give you, angry at the other guy and mad about this and, and they're horrible or this happened and it's bad. No, we try and give you everything, the fact wise, be honest about it. And then hopefully, like you said, be positive about what you can get from it, what'll come out of it on the other end.
So plenty of people to thank along the way. Our wives, Tara, your wife, Kate, who's also played co-host. It's worth noting the fact that we are hitting episode 200, but I have not actually been here for all 200. I've probably missed, maybe 10 or so episodes along the way for vacations and other things. But you guys have been there. You've been on every single episode. You've done some interviews solo. So thank you for all of that. And thank you again to all the members of the team and Jonathan and Ryan for being so supportive. The folks from the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation, we try to pump them up, but they've been doing a great job as well, helping pump us up as well. And it's been part of our mission, is kind of helping spread awareness about them and what they're doing. So that's been awesome. The other cool thing that's come out of this, and we mentioned Discord a lot on this show, because we do have a Discord chat, which is like an app you can get on your phone or your computer. We live chat basically during the race. And we've built like an awesome community there with people from all over the world that are Ryan Blaney fans. We see these folks when we're out at the racetrack. That's been awesome. But we kind of, live and breathe the sport, and we kind of do it all together. The highs and the lows. We've been able to celebrate a championship together during this run of the podcast. So that's been amazing to see as well. If this is your first time listening, our bread and butter is doing race recaps. We follow along from practice to qualifying to the race. We take a look at strategies. We try to break them down as much as possible. If television has missed something that happened to the 12 team during the race, we try to highlight those things and explain them. Like you said, present the facts of what happened, even when things go wrong. And when we have the opportunity, reach out to folks that we have contact with, and maybe they can give us a little bit more insight so we can bring it to you guys. Definitely recognize that anyone watching this or listening to this is a super fan. And that's exactly what we are. So we know that you kind of are craving that similar information and in-depth analysis, and we like to bring that to you, hopefully in a positive way, in an informational way, and entertaining way at times as well. So we have a great race to talk about. The Cup Series went to Richmond Raceway this past weekend. Statistically, one of Ryan Blaney's worst tracks. But I tell you what, the 12 team put on a show this weekend, kept us on the edge of our seats. And I thought, Steve, we were this close to celebrating our 200th Team Blaney podcast episode with one of our favorite episodes, which is a victory episode. But it wasn't meant to be. But they showed some speed starting off on the weekend all the way through the race and kept things entertaining.
Yeah, Saturday, the qualifying, they were in Group 2 for practice and qualifying. And the practice itself, once again, these things are so deceiving because you don't always see every lap during a practice who he gets behind. I usually like to listen to the audio because sometimes he actually has to pass somebody in a practice session, and that takes a little bit longer, and it messes up the lap times. But in Group 1 here, the 8 car actually was the fastest. He ran a single lap of like 22:8.48, and he was leading like the 25 lap average early on too. And then in Group 2, Ryan come out, and about 5 laps in, he put up his fastest lap, which was only P20 overall between the two groups. It was 0.293 back, though, so it was pretty close in time. But one of the things I saw in the once all the sessions was over, he was like top 5 in overall lap average, running 51 laps total. So once again, if the race stays green, we see long green flag runs. Really good at conserving the tires and tire wear, and just hoping for that to happen. And 20 laps in that second session, the 22 car hit the wall. Pretty much what we thought was going to mess up his whole weekend, but they pull off some things too. I kind of wish I was following them blow for blow because they came out of nowhere by the end of the race to get to where they got. So for a qualifying, Ryan went out 34th of the 38 cars. At the time he set his quick lap, it was 16th overall. Then the next 4 guys end up beating him. So he ends up P20, and it's about 3/10 back of the 60 car getting the pole, which is pretty impressive. Those guys who need to win a race put it on the pole. So now this whole thing for Sunday, for Sunday is Saturday. Not Sunday, Saturday is to see how everything translates into the race. And the funny part about it is when Ryan got done with his lap in qualifying, Jonathan said, we got a good car for tomorrow, not to worry. And watching the beginning of the race, thinking the same thing. Are they going to do strategy things to get up there, or just kind of just keep racing their way up there? And that's all they really did. So for Saturday night, we had stages of 70, 230, and 400, 9 sets of tires. To the rear were the 34 and the 22. And pit stall 38, which for the HBO Max viewing was awesome. I put up a TikTok actually of one of the pit stops, and I think I tagged Keaston in it because Keaston's in every one of those, jumping across the front of the car, getting that right side and then left side. He needs to make. I'm going to suggest this. He needs to make a TikTok just of that part of the video. Doing that. What's he say? Oh, this is me, pointing an arrow down to him. How did I get here? That kind of thing. He needs to do one of them, I think.
I tell you what, it was a great view on HBO Max for those pit stops. But one thing you noticed if you watched the race, Timmy, every time they're coming to pit, he kept saying, "It comes up fast. It comes up fast." And it did. And even the very first pit stop, Ryan got really kind of squirrely, slowing down to come in. And man, that was hectic. And he had to get stopped right away, being, one of the first stalls as you enter pit road.
Yeah, so he was had the 34 pit in front of him, the one behind him. On the initial start here, starting the outside lane, by lap 2, he's up to 18th. The outside lane moved pretty well. By lap 6, he gets into the low lane. and gets himself to 17th. At lap 8, passing the 17 to get to 16th. Lap 9, passing the 71 to get to 15th. And during this, the 60 has taken the lead, kind of controlling the race a little bit from the front. At lap 13, passed the 3 car to get to 14th. At lap 17, passed the 24 car to get to 13th. At lap 25, gives a little bit of an update here. Says he'd like it to be a little more turn in the middle. At lap 30, we're starting some green flag stops here with the 24 pitting. People were just kind of splitting it right in half. And then lap 36, they'd go ahead and pit, and it's a 10.400. Now, once again, these pit times are the NASCAR pit times. So it might be a 9, whatever, depending on how it's measured with, when Ryan Flores would do all these, when Skip would do these on the show all the time, they were in the 9s. So somehow it's actually faster than that. But what's interesting is it's hard to keep track of during a green flag cycle. Like he's pitting from 13th to when the cycle starts, he's like 13th, but then cars start pitting, kind of like, okay, once the cycle continues, where do they come out? So that was at lap 36. And by lap 44, they're passing lots of cars who haven't pitted yet. So a lot of guys tried this strategy where they just stayed out as long as they could and have fresh tires near the end of the stage. At lap 45 here, he's in 15th here, and the leader is in sight. The 60. He can see him. And at lap 47, he gets his lap back. That's why I brought Britton there. He actually was a lap down, got his lap back. At lap 48, passing the 24 to get to 14th. Lap 54, passing the 7 to get to 13th. Lap 56 passes the 71 to get to 12th. At lap 57 passes 77 to get to 11th. The 45 is now leading. And I think the 11 is in P2 and the 60 is in P3 at that point. And at lap 61 here, we passed the 48 to get to 10th. By lap 64, passing the 9 and the 60 to get to 8th. Lap 68 passes the 16 to get to 7th. And at lap 70, the 45 wins the stage, but Ryan's P7. So complete through a pit cycle. A couple cars, I think, have stayed out for the duration of the laps, trying to hang on to what they could hang on to, and learning that they really shouldn't do that again. And stage points, stage 1, starting from 20th.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, solid start to this race. And like you said, I think it was the 60, the 48, the 16. A lot of those guys were playing the strategy to where tire wear was huge at this track. It was big time last year when they were there, but they actually ran like 2 different sets of tires. The tire they ran on Saturday night was the option tire that was run last year that had a lot of fall off, but had a lot of grip at the beginning of a run. So what those guys were doing is they're trying to save a set basically for some time during the second stage or the third stage where they could burn an extra set or do like a 3-stop type strategy at the end that has won some Richmond races in the past. So they were going to benefit from that a little bit later on if the opportunity was able to arise for that. So, but for them to basically pass all their way from 20th all the way up to 13th on the first run without anything, without a pit cycle or anything impacting that. And they weren't the only car that was doing it. So immediately you could see like, we actually have a really good Cup Series short track race going on right here with comers and goers, guys being able to pass, a green flag pit cycle, which was great to see, mixed up strategies, and to still get stage points at the end, which we're going to talk a lot at the end of this about the point standings, is huge, especially with what happens to the guys that he is racing around. So it's just been an impressive run really for this team as a whole and how they've been executing races the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, 7 cars stayed out for the whole stage there, and you could tell Ryan got all the way to 7th, so he definitely passed a couple of those guys on his way up there. So he's talking about being loosener into the center there. Jonathan says that was 33 green flag laps. Probably going to go a little longer in the next few runs because the stages are longer, and they might, like the next stage, probably just split it into 2 segments. Tells them to stop it short here. They're coming in P7. It's a 9.720 according to the NASCAR app. and comes out P5. So gains spots again with the pit stop on the yellow flag pit cycle there. So, and gets on the radio and says, "Good stop, fellas." Ryan usually doesn't say too much during pit stops, good or bad. But when he does one of them, it was pretty good. And the 23 is now leading at this point. He had a pretty good pit stop there. Ryan says he's thinking about starting on the bottom here. And Jonathan also points out a lot of the teams at that point put their qualifiers on. One of the sets of tires was the tires they used for qualifying. Only had a lap or two on them for most of the guys. So a lot of them burn them right at this point. The 23 takes the bottom. Ryan takes bottom for this restart. And the restart at lap 79 here from P5 here, racing really hard with the 2 on his outside. But by lap 83, he finally gets this pass done on the 2 up to P4. This is another thing about watching the in-car camera. And what it does is it does not, you make these passes, but at Richmond, just like Bristol, it takes 2 or 3 laps sometimes of running side by side with somebody before you can finally get a good corner, maybe move him a little bit out of where he wants to be on his entry coming in and out of a corner. So it did take a couple laps there, but he got it to P4 here by lap 90, 1.41 back of the leader, the 23. At lap 100, 1.586 back of the 23. And he's about 0.4 back of third place 45 car. At lap 110, Jonathan tells him about 20 more laps. Timmy says there's 30 on your tires so far. At lap 113, the green flag pit cycle starts with the 60 car. At lap 115, they're getting into lap traffic. And this is the only thing about these green flag pit cycles is where you come back out and how much extra you might have to pass really will affect things. As a matter of fact, he's trying to pass the 67 and the 42 at that point. At lap 118, the 45 passes the 20 for P2. Ryan is a half a second faster than the 20. At lap 121, he passes the 20 to get the third. At lap 125, there's some fresh tires coming by, trying to get their lap back. The 45 now pits, and Ryan is P2, but at lap 128, they go ahead and pit from P2. And it's a 10.160 stop. At lap 130, it's P15, still in the lead lap though, and 6.368 back of the 3 car of all cars. So they were on a little bit different strategy there. Lap 133, here we pass the 21 to get the 14th. At lap 135 and 136 here, they pass the 6, the 48, and the 19 in those 2 laps to get to 11th. At lap 138, passes the 60 car to get to 10th. At lap 139, passes the 5 car to get to 9th. The 45 is leading at this point, and the 23 is in P2. At lap 140, passes 17 to get to 8th. At lap 141, passes the 20 to get to 7th. At lap 144, passes the 2 to get to 6th. At 151, passes the 99 to get to 5th. At lap 152, passes the 3 to get to P4. And there's something in here in the next lap or two about the 22 car, and he says to get him out of the way. And I think I may have texted you back and forth at this point. And no offense to Joey Logano, but he's just not that fast right now. Whether it's the car or him, sometimes it's just not that fast. Now, on the other hand, he does some strategy things as the race goes on and puts himself in good position. But
yeah, this was like the best, and it was. I would say it's a little tense because Ryan's. I mean, he's picking these guys off, and then he gets to the 22, and the 22 is just blocking and kind of in the way, and Ryan's clearly better than him. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he comes on and says, "Get him out of the way." And there's like this exchange with Tim, and Tim's like, "I can't do that from up here." And then there's a beat, and he's like, "But I'm trying." And but there is, and then a couple you'll probably talk about. A couple laps go by, and then there's a point when the 22 swings super wide. Yeah, like finally the message is delivered, right?
Relayed, yeah. Because at lap 157 he does pass him, gets to P3. At lap 170, 4.97 back of the 23 who's leading at this point, 2.9 back of the P2, the 45 car. And at lap 173, we get some more green flag stops beginning again. And 178, they go ahead and pit. Then this is a 10.140 again. And then we get this caution at lap 180, where the 99 hit the 54 into the 48, play a little bumper pool. But what's interesting is Ryan right away thought they were a lap down, and they were not. Yeah, they were not. I was looking at the timing and scoring, and like, hey, they're not only in good position, but they're P6 at this point. And this is one of those ones that fell in the right place at the right time. So the 5 was the leader, and he had to pit. So now at this point, the 23 is P1, the 99 is P2, 22 is in P3, and then Ryan is P4. So the choose cone here, 23 takes the bottom, 99 top, the 22 bottom, and Ryan on the top behind the 99. So the restart lap 188 here, he clears on the backstretch to get to P3. And lap 190, we had a caution for the 51, who had some help from the 42. Initially, I looked at the 51 spinning and I go, oh, geez, this car is just in the way. And every couple of weeks, some spin out. But the 42 actually helped him here. 42 did him wrong and really caused his issue. So for this next choose here, 23 on the bottom, Ryan on the bottom here, the restart lap 196 here. Then we get a caution at lap 198. With the 23s leading, Ryan's in P3 here. And this one, the 8 hit the 19, and then I have the word melee written down. Because I think Kyle Busch has just kind of lost.
I don't blame him totally on this one, because from my viewpoint, the 19's trying to pass the 5. The 5 goes as low as he can. The 19 tries to go lower. And the 8 is also trying to pass the 19 all at the same time. So that's the part of this accident that I put on the 8 more is the 9 coming through at the end after clearing the crash, and then the 8 coming down the track and taking him out and sending the 9 right into the outside wall. So but no, it's not clean at all. And the 8 after this, just in general, does not have a clean race at all. There's a point when he speeds through all the sections of pit road and just destroys their race. So it's rough, man.
Here's the thing. He gets through the initial part of it, and then it almost looks like, well, I'm not done wrecking people. I'm going to find somebody else. And he finds the 9 car and gives the 9 his first DNF of the year. We had the 1, the 67, the 8, the 9, the 10, the 11, the 19, the 24, the 34, 41, the 43, all got involved one way, shape, or form on that. So at lap 210, the pits are open here, but they don't do anything with that. They choose 23 taking the bottom, the 99 the top. Ryan takes the bottom behind the 23. I'm hoping this, he can just clear. But restarting at lap 213 here. He's racing hard with the 99, but within the next couple laps, sorts to P3. At lap 220 here, the top 3 are all running the same lap times. At lap 230 here, the 23 wins the stage, and Ryan's P3.
Yeah,
P7,
another great result. Amazing stage points. You just had the 45. You just had the 9 go out. You had a bunch of guys that he's racing around in points have a lot of trouble. So from here on out, to get those stage points and then maximize the finish is going to be really important when it comes to the regular season standings. What do you think about Bubba Wallace here? He kind of quietly leads the most laps in the race. He wins the stage. His pit crew, until what happens a little later, was gaining him spots and keeping him in the lead. I thought this was a legitimate opportunity for them to win if things go a little bit differently before the end of the race. But since they won Indy, they've been performing like contenders.
But both him and his teammate in this race, were fabulous. They were running up with each other pretty much the whole early part of the race. They were on the same strategy and able to run neck and neck. And one led for a little while, then the other one led for a bunch, and then it looked like they both had everything going the right direction until the later what happens later on. They look like they're going to be one of the stronger teams in the playoffs here at this point. Going to be hard to beat maximizing the speed like they just did. So Ryan discusses the track's tightening up a little bit here. They are pitting, and it's a 10.120 stop here. Now the 71 takes 2 tires, and wow, what is this crew chief's name? I want to call him. He's not a Lickensdorfer anymore, right?
No, he's with Gregson now, I think. But
yeah.
Uh,
I want to call them nasty names, because this is not a winning strategy one way, shape, or form. It's literally dumb, and I say that because I took note of where he started this restart and where he ends up. And he ends up way deeper than if he would have taken 4 tires. If he takes 4 tires and races with guys and has a little bit of speed and maybe passes a guy or two, he's in fabulous shape for what they have and what they can do. But to do 2 tires and think that you're going to hold on to some position, and all he does is mess up a lot of guys' races because they got to race around him and figure out a way around him.
Yeah, the only thing, and I said it to you as it was happening, was they must have seen that the left side tires weren't wearing or something to make a gamble like this. And I don't know. I mean, Ryan's going to have a difficult restart here, and it wasn't necessarily even really the 71's fault, but it was just going to be complicated. It was just going to complicate things up front.
But that's why I said, he ends up going from, I don't even know where I put it in the notes here. He ends up like 17th or 18th after about 10, 15 laps. So what did you do besides bugger up the front of the field to have to get around you, and then cost your guy positions as he gets passed by everybody else? He had 22 lap tires on the other side. So Tim and Ryan agreed to line up behind the 23 for the restart here. So 71 on the inside, 23 on the outside, 3 on the inside, and Ryan on the outside. And I really kind of thought that they would launch and both get around the 71. That's the only thing about it, is the initial launch doesn't go well. And they restart lap 240 here, sorts to P5 here. The 71 and the 77 gets up in there too. And he's just messing things up. So Ryan sorts to about P6. And lap 242, the 99 gets by. So he's 7th here, and he's stuck behind the 71. At lap 245, finally passing the 71 to get to 6th. The 3 has taken the lead at this point. He got to that inside. He figured out a way around the 71. And got to the inside of the 23 and got himself to the lead. So at lap 250 here, the 3 is in first, the 23 is in second, the 48 is now in third. In fourth is actually the 77. And you got the 99 in fifth, and then Ryan is 6th. But at lap 260 here, Ryan says, I'm trying to be really smooth here. And this is something they talk about, not running 100% on the tires early in a run. And if you can do that and just run laps where you're not, having to try to pass somebody, you can conserve some tire and have it for later in the run here. And lap 261 passes the 99 to get to 5th. Lap 263 passes 77 to get to 4th. And lap 269, Tim points out, fastest car on the track. And he's consistently that for a bunch of laps here. At lap 275 here, he's 3.89 back of the leader, the 3. At lap 276, he passes the 48 to get to 3rd. At lap 280, 2.58, 7 back of the 3. And now we start a pit cycle. And at lap 284, passes the 23 to get to 2nd here. At lap 285, 2.208 back of the 3 car. And Ryan does say, I didn't take off great, but I'm running pretty good right now, obviously. And lap 290, 1.64 back of the 3 car. And then lap 291 with pit. And it's a 9.70 on the green flag cycle, which was really impressive on the green flag pit cycle. This is also the point in time the 23's race changes, and it goes flying away. And actually, it's really weird how the tire followed him and then hit it. It kind of bumped into him and fell right there in that pit stall. And what was it, the 19 pit stall, I think?
And honestly, that's lucky. I don't know if Brian was going to be in the same position as the last time, and if a caution did come out, because if that tire rolls out onto pit road and stops there, it's going to throw the race into chaos at that point. But luckily it kind of follows him. They pull into the 19 stall, which I know I saw a lot of people upset about that again. They're Toyota teammates.
Yeah.
They share information. We've seen JGR in the past do this with their own teams to where somebody, and they didn't like race out and do it fast or anything, but they came out and they changed his tires and put new tires on and everything, but destroys the 23's race. I felt bad for Bubba because he had done everything right so far, and then he kind of gets let down by the crew. And I know we'll talk about Ryan's crew when they make mistakes and say, yeah, they're not out there trying to do that. Nobody wanted that to happen. That's the last thing they want. But when we're talking about facts, it's a team sport, and the team in this case did let him down. There's nothing you do about it. So sorry for Bubba, but that did eliminate basically a threat. And it seemed like basically this was going to come down. The race would come down between Ryan and the 3 the rest of the way. And it mostly shakes out that way.
Yeah. So at lap 295, P3 here, lap 297, passing the 21 to get to P2. The 77 is the leader, but he hasn't pitted yet. The 24 is putting a little bit of pressure on Ryan at this point from behind here. At lap 300, 1.407 back of the 77. And the 3 is now behind us. The 3 is also past the 24 to get to third here. At lap 302, passing the 77 to get to P1. And then lap 315, we're about 8 tenths ahead of the 3 car here. At lap 320, there are 21 cars at the lead lap. The 77 hits here, and that starts a whole other cycle. So at lap 325 here, the 35 is 1 down in the way. Lap 327 here, the 3 closes the gap because of the traffic. We're getting into the traffic, and he's getting behind us. At lap 330 here, clears him, racing really hard with him. And this is that segment where they kind of get next to each other here for a bunch of laps. And lap 333 here, the 3 led a lap. 334, the 12 gets it back.
Great
51, race. Yeah, the 51 is behind both of them at this point, actually pushing. At lap 335 here, the 51 gets by, and we're door to door with the 3 here. At lap 340, the 3 passes. And Ryan says, I have no rear tires left. And this is that situation where they talk about it post-race where Ryan's on the outside at this point, so he really couldn't pit because they were side by side on the outside. If he was on the inside, they may have actually pitted while this was going on and trapped the 3 out there for a lap or 2. But the opposite actually happens. The 3 gets to pit lane first at lap 342 here. And this is where Jonathan decides to give it a couple more laps. And this has worked before for them for sure, where they run a little longer and then have better tires at the end of a run. Worked at Darlington really, really well this year until that, what happened there.
And I know the 3, and looking at it now, it shows we maybe should have been concerned here because the 3 catches and straight up passes Ryan here, which should have let us know that that car really is the best car on the track at that point. But I'm thinking what you said, right? Or first Jonathan says pit this time, but then you like, wait, no, let's go a little bit longer. And I'm like, okay, this last run after that last restart, Ryan fired off slow and then passed everybody all the way to the win. And I'm just thinking about like what they were able to do at like Iowa, I think the year before, similar track. I was like, okay, the 3 might be good. It's all going to come down to this pit stop and how they come out on the track. And I was like, but Ryan should be able to track him down and pass him right at the end for the win if things go green. So I was still pretty optimistic at this point. I still thought, again, it's between the 3 and the 12. The 48 was showing signs of speed in these last couple of runs here. But this is what I'm starting to think about. Like I mentioned earlier, I was like, episode 200's coming up. It's going to be real great if we're able to talk about a win here. Plus the fact that point standings were looking great at this point in the race. If he wins the race, gets the 5 points there, and then even goes up higher in the point standings and gets even more bonus points at the reset, things were getting really, really exciting at that point.
Yeah, so they wait about 3 laps there. At lap 345 here, John says go ahead and pit. And at lap 349 here, they come out in P5, and they're about 8 seconds back of the leader, who's the 6 at this point. And then at lap 350, the 3 gets the lead. Ryan is P3, but 6.675 back. And here's the thing. I think during this run, they may have made an adjustment. They may have tried to do something, but I think he just burned up his stuff is what ends up happening. At late 352 here, passing the 77 to get to P2, and he's 6.259 back. And I mean, TV takes note, and they're trying to see if he'll close that gap, and he's running faster. Lap 355, he's 0.4 of a second faster, and he's only 5.635 back. So if it were to continue like that the whole rest of the way, he gets there pretty easily. But lap 357, he also wants to know how far back the next guy is. And the 48 is 4 seconds back. And part of that is he was trying to run smooth laps and conserve the tires. But, at lap 360 here, 4.266 back at the 3, still 0.4 quicker. Lap 370, he's 3.465 back at the 3, but running similar lap times now. So it kind of equaled out. And then we get to lap 375 here. He's 3.45 back at the 3, but Ryan says it's fallen off way hard. And lap 380, 4 seconds back, a lot of traffic. They're in and out. The 88, the 16 are in the way.
What'd you think about that? Because that's those cars are specifically ones that, the 48 kind of complains about traffic being difficult, and they were the 88 and 16, which apparently I think in the end weren't actually even racing each other for position, but would not give up any space on the track. And Ryan was already leveled out, and I think the chance to win was already over. But it was still frustrating. Like, I'm like, come on, if he could just get past these guys, maybe he'll still have some sort of a chance here. But the 88's running the super unique line that's taken basically both lines, as they enter the turns out. So it was just, this is when I was getting more frustrated, because I was like, all right, it's looking like the win is slipping away here. And then what we also see, and he says this, he's asking for these updates about who's behind him. The 48's closing the gap.
Yeah, he did a little better on his tires. The 88, when you talk about that part of it, I watched some laps of him. He ran a certain line that was unique, but it was consistently good for him. And he has talked about how much better he is at Richmond than a lot of the other short tracks. And I think he showed that. And it's because he runs that line. So if the 48 was actually paying attention during the race and saw the 88 didn't do anything different than he did all night. That's the funny part about that. And then the 48 gets out of his car and does kind of say that, he was just frustrated in the moment, kind of a thing on the radio, So, yeah, it was kind of interesting to watch him run the 88 run that line. He was kind of high in both ends and then cut it down a little bit, but he didn't get in anybody's way as far as like blocking. It wasn't like literally blocking on the runs. He was just making it hard to run side by side with him. So at lap 384 here, the 48 does pass, and we're in P3. At lap 390, we've fallen back about 6 seconds behind first place 3 car. And, P4 at this point is 3 seconds back. It was the 2 car at that point. And then the lap 400 here, the 3 wins. Ryan finishes 3rd. The 22 finishes 4th. The 2 finishes 5th. The guys on the teardown even said that. They go, well, look out for Penske. There are going to be a couple tracks in the playoffs that are very similar types of styles, and they're showing off their muscle right now on this type of track. They're going to be hard to beat coming the next 11 weeks.
Yeah, this is one of those races where I was disappointed in the end, but not as disappointed as I would have been if, say, Ryan was leading and the 48 had passed him or something for the win. It was good to see the 3 have this redemption arc, because basically he was in this same position last year until the late caution came out, and then he decided to pull a McDowell-esque multiple low percentage moves to win that race and then get stripped of it and everything. So I know there's a lot of folks out there that don't like Austin Dillon and the whole silver spoon thing and yada, yada, yada. The guy has 6 cup wins now, maybe 5 and an asterisk win from last year. 2 majors. I always, when people like go after Bubba and say he's only won a couple of races, I bring the stats out how only so many guys have won 1 race. Even fewer have won 2. Even fewer have won 3. So Austin Dillon is just one of those guys I like to say. He's a perfectly fine Cup Series driver. Not everybody can be a superstar. And congratulations to him. I still hope he retires in a couple years to free up that seat. But he did everything the right way this year. So that was good. They came with one of the best cars. You saw, just like Ryan, he slowly made his way to the front, took control of the race, and then didn't give it away. His pit crew performed. He performed. He clearly knows something. They know something setup-wise, and he knows something driving-wise to get the job done. So congrats to them. Plus side for Ryan, P3. This was the last track that Ryan Blaney had not had a top 5 on as far as ovals go in the Cup Series. So he's marked that off the list now. First top 5 at Richmond. Kind of improved over the last couple of races there. He had gotten a couple of top 10s a couple of years ago. Had a couple bad races the last few times out there. So we've said it, I think, every week for like the last 4 or 5 weeks. This is the last track also he needs to check off on of being not as great at. We've said it already. They are fast every week now. I will say, even the road courses this year, they'd struggled at in the past in this car. They've been fast. They've had speed at every road course this year too, not necessarily all the finishes to show for it. The 12 team no longer has a track that they kind of come in with a deficit. So the best part about this weekend too is the point standings. Already teased it a few times. And I've already said the last few weeks. So this was the 4th straight top 10 in a row for this team. They're clicking at the perfect time. Just 10 races or so ago, I would have said hopefully they can hold the top 10 in points. We really need to stay in the top 10 to get some bonus points here, but they've been chipping away at things. For several weeks they were stuck in the 7th position in the regular season standings, but due to incidents on track with Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin and Larson, Bell and Reddick, they've all run into a lot of that Blaney luck that gave him those 7 DNFs early in the season. Ryan has chipped away all the way to 5th now in the NASCAR Cup Series regular season standings, 83 points back of William Byron, who has clinched the regular season title. Ryan Blaney is 15 points back of 2nd, who is Chase Elliott, at 68 points back. 15 points back with 1 race to go at Daytona, which is a wild card. But can you believe it? A team with 7 DNFs has an opportunity because of how they execute on the races where they don't get a DNF when it comes to stage points, stage wins, and his win at Nashville. 2nd is within reach. There was a few weeks ago we were like, I don't know, hopefully 6. Looks like he maybe can get to 6. And then a couple weeks ago we're like, 5th is a possibility. Now he's in 5th. 2nd, Steve. It's insanity.
It's there. It's right there for the taking. That's the best part about the whole situation is after next week is over, they award extra playoff points based on where you finished in that top 10. Now, William's already clinched, right? So William has 17 playoff points to begin with. He will now get an additional, I think it's 15 for winning the championship, the regular season. So he'll have 22 to start every round of the playoffs. Ryan is at 11. And this weekend coming up, if they can get all the way to 2nd, that's an extra 10 points instead of where he'd be. If he finished in 5th right now, it'd be 7th. So he can get 3 or 4 extra playoff points just by moving up in the standings. Now, I say this is the weekend you just go for the whole thing. You go get everything. Get the stage wins if you can get them. Get 2 stage wins. That's 2 extra points. Win the race. There's an extra 5 points. And then finish 2nd in the standings with doing all that. And all of a sudden you got 10 more on top of that, and 15, 16, 17. All of a sudden, he could have 28 playoff points by the end of this next weekend, all in one race. Racking up in an extra, 17 points with, moving up in the standings and winning the race. So I say this weekend you just go for it. You got nothing to lose. There's 1 race left in the regular season. If it doesn't go well, something happens. Maybe they lose a position or 2 to the guys with them. They still would get 4 or 5 extra playoff points, finishing 6th, 7th, 8th in the standings. So it's a great weekend this weekend to watch how that's going to play out. What's amazing is Chase Elliott finally had a DNF, and he has, like I said, walked backward toward everybody a little bit too. Guys like Larson are really not driving very well the last month or so, and he's not super happy about plate racing. So it should be a great weekend, as long as the Penske boys want to get out front and do their thing.
So what did you think about the racing at Richmond this past weekend with the tire wear? They've brought the softest tire they could bring. It kept things exciting. It wasn't necessarily like that beating and banging, move guys out of the way short track racing, but it was still like very similar to classic NASCAR racing where tires mattered and how hard you went on them mattered. It's almost like more like what like the late model stock series are around the country with the way their tires are set up. It resulted in some really compelling racing that I wish they could bring to the other short tracks. I mean, maybe Martinsville. The problem is it's just like Richmond is asphalt all the way around, and these other places like Martinsville and Bristol have like concrete involved. And I know it's gonna react differently.
Yeah, isn't that what Junior always says about Bristol? They need to pave it.
Pave it, yeah.
Pave it. Racing will get better if you pave it. And I think there was a time period where it was paved and the racing was better there. So yeah, I think so it's at least something that they tried to go in the right direction with. It's something that seemed to work. What's great about it for Ryan and watching Ryan is we know he's really good at tire conservation to begin with, plus the speed they had in the car to begin with, and it just kind of laid out for them. Like I said, they didn't have to do any kind of tricky strategy, do nothing crazy, no 2 tire stops or anything like that. They ran a race the regular way, got their way up there, and then pit stop wise, they were on it the whole night. Those boys did a fabulous job, and it's perfect. Like because there were comers and goers from it too. Kind of surprised me actually that the 60 car didn't do a little better. He's really good at tire conservation.
I almost feel like they just trimmed the car out to where it would lay down a good qualifying lap and hoped they could stay ahead of the strategies, and it just
they played out the wrong strategy with that staying out in the first stage too. That kind of really messed them up.
So again, let's take a look at the point standings. William Byron has clinched the regular season championship and first there. Chase Elliott, as you said, has slipped. There was a point there where he had taken the lead over Byron just a few races ago, but with his troubles, he's now 68 points back the lead. Hamlin is in third, 73 back. Larson is in fourth, 80 back. Blaney is in fifth, 83 back of the lead. So again, 15 points to second, who's Chase Elliott, to within reach. Christopher Bell fell 2 positions to 6, 91 points back. Tyler Reddick is in 7th, 125 points back. Chase Briscoe 19th, 141 points back. Bowman is in 9th, 154 points back. Bubba Wallace is in 10th, back up into the top 10 again, 200 points back of the lead. Heading into Daytona, it's going to be really interesting, and I'll save some of that chatter about the last 2 remaining positions here that will make it into the playoffs. So things are going to get interesting when they head to that race this weekend. But we do have one last thing to recap and review, and that is a Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League from this past weekend at Richmond Raceway. I will say there was a point early in this race where my lineup was looking great, and all of that carnage from the 8 and 19 wreck really kind of threw things for me, and it was unfortunate. The 20 as well. I have the 20 in my lineup. He had some pit road troubles and sped on pit road. He didn't spin out this week, which was kind of a surprise, but he had his issues as well. So all these guys were fast at one point in this race. I thought for sure, I'm like, man, I finished top 5 last week. I thought I had another opportunity to do this because my I went overboard on load management this year. So I had tons of top guys with 3 and 4 starts left, which shows you why I don't do so well, really.
3 starts next week.
Yeah. So starting lineup, I had Denny Hamlin got me 35 points. Ryan Preece only got me 7. Bell got me 21. Byron 27. Tyler Reddick 13. I moved Chase Elliott into the garage, just 1 point on the day from him. Featured matchups, I picked Hamlin over Larson. That was wrong. I picked Bell over Byron. That was wrong. I picked Buescher over Barry. That was wrong. And I picked Elliott over Logano. also wrong. So I was 0 for 4 on the featured matchups. Just 103 points on the weekend, 73rd overall on the weekend. So I went from finishing 5th last week to back to my normal 73rd. That was rough. And as I said, everybody in my lineup outside of Priest all had speed in this race. All were caught up in some sort of problem. So that's unfortunate.
Where did Kate end up? I forgot to look up. She ended up above you a little bit, right?
I'm not sure where she's at specifically. I'll take a look while you're giving us your.
Yeah. So
your
I had all 4 of the matchups wrong, the same as you. I had Hamlin with 35 points. I had Bowman with 41. Priest only got me 7. Tyler Reddick only got me 13. I had Kyle Busch in the lineup at the end, 21. And I had Briscoe in the garage. That would have been the only swap out, but it was kind of weird at the time that I decided to leave him in the garage was when he was involved in some stuff and didn't realize he was going to rebound. So that's kind of where I ended up. I just want to point out where Kate was to you because she didn't set her actual lineup.
Oh no, I think she was much further ahead of me actually.
Yeah, she was in the top 30, I think.
Yeah, so you were 57th overall, 117 points earned. So you only got 17 more points than me. That's rough. Yeah, Kate, 35th overall, 133 points without setting a lineup in no matchup. So
yeah, she says we were supposed to set a lineup this week? ?
That's right. Yeah, the Saturday race throws people off.
Yeah.
I did try to put a post out on our social.
Sunday mornings,
So let's take a look at the top 10 in points earned on the weekend at Richmond, starting in 10th with Joe Lopez won with 166 points. 3-way tie for 7th with Char 12 fan, our friend Jordan Daniels, and a former champion in Clyde's Chicken Pit Racing. Tied for 7th, 168 points. And 6th is Nellis Straightaway, 170 points. 5th is Team Penske, 171. Turnover Nose is in 4th, 172 points on the weekend. 3rd was Montana 12 fan, 178 points. YRB Believers was 2nd, 183 points. And My Cousin Vinny wins the weekend with 193 points earned at Richmond Raceway. Overall standings in the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League, I'm holding down the 68th position with 4,161 points. 10th, it's Blaney or Bust with 4,655. And 9th, it's your team. You've slipped a little bit. Mez 12, 4,662. Go 12 Go is in the 8th position, 4,673 points. Dr. Race Chaser is in 7th, 4,675 points. Blaney Kicks Beep is in 6th with 4,694. Clyde's Chicken Pit Racing in 5th, 4,718 points so far. 4th is Pit Stop Pro, 4,725. 3rd is Vance 12, 4,786. Jordan Daniels is in the 2nd position, 4,787 points. And leading the way still in the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League is Alyssa C., 4,817 points. So, Steve, that leads us to the race weekend at Daytona International Speedway with things kicking off on Friday, August 22nd. Qualifying only this weekend for the Cup Series. No practice. 5:05 p.m. Eastern Time on True TV, MRN, and SiriusXM NASCAR Radio on the radio. And again, I believe if you have HBO Max, no, I think not anymore with HBO Max. True TV is where you're going to have to watch that.
Well, no, HBO Max actually has the
practice streaming.
Yeah.
7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we have the NASCAR Xfinity Series race, the Wawa 250 powered by Coca-Cola from Daytona. You can watch that on the CW network. Listen to it on MRN and SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. Again, that's the Xfinity Series race, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday. Kate, listen up. The race this weekend is another Saturday race, August 23rd, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You have the Coke Zero Sugar 400 from Daytona. Streaming on Peacock. It's on the mothership, NBC, HBO Max for the in-car cameras, on the radio with MRN and SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. Ryan Blaney at Daytona International Speedway. He's made an even 20 starts at the track, 231 laps led, average start of 13.6, average finish of 19.1, one win in the Coke Zero Sugar 400 several years ago. 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s, 9, count them, 9 DNFs, which is not unusual for a super speedway track for the NASCAR Cup Series. So, and if you're looking at his stats on Racing Reference, you'll see running, crash, running, crash, running, crash, 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 running, crash in the status results from his stats. So, again, he did win this race in 2021, a race that I like to reminisce about because you guys barnstormed down the East Coast last minute to come to the race. We got to sit together and experience that victory together. That was really awesome. Josh Williams, the spotter at the time, had that awesome call to the finish line after the caution came out on the last lap. I had been praying for a caution when the white flag came out with Ryan out to a pretty substantial lead. And I don't usually pray for a crash, but somehow my prayers were answered. Folks wreck, and Ryan comes to the checkered flag at the line. Awesome.
At the line.
Now, you talked about it a little bit, and I've had some other folks ask in the Discord and elsewhere, should Ryan just run in the back all race, try to survive, maximize their finish maybe after there's some carnage, and you touched on this a little bit. I think you're on that opposite stance of be on attack mode, which in the previous generation car, that was Penske's MO. They want to qualify up front. They want to control the race, control both lines if that's how it's going to be, win stages, get stage points, and then be in that same position to race out for it at the end. But unfortunately, these races at Daytona, Talladega have become fuel mileage races. And I know I said we like to be really positive here, but with a super speedway driver like Ryan Blaney, who has managed to win in the next gen car at Talladega. So he has still been successful in these races, even in this fuel strategy era of super speedway racing. It really is extremely hard to make those moves from the back to the front during crunch time. There is an opportunity when guys are saving fuel and you don't want to save fuel. They create a third line and they can drive to the front sometimes and pick up stage points and things, but that's only temporary. So at first I was leaning toward the ride in the back and wait for carnage thing, but we haven't really been seeing a ton of that in these races in this generation of car.
Yeah, I'm with the camp of just control the race. That's the one great thing when they do qualify all together. They seem to get their little group together, and the 4 of them, because let's include the 21 in this too, and they get their act together and get themselves up together near the front and control the race, get a bunch of stage points. You know, Logano is only about 13 or 20 some points from 10th, you know, so he's looking at a situation where maybe he can get his way to an extra bonus point or two for the playoffs, you know. So you got to put all that together with all the teammates and just make sure that you're not wrecking each other at the end. But I mean, last year the 21 made it to victory lane in this race, so that's the most fun part, is the fans who will be screaming their heads off when somebody is outside the top 20 in points wins this race this weekend and gets themselves in the playoffs and bumps somebody like the 48 out. You know, I can't. I kind of hope that happens. Actually, no offense to the 48, but I always like the underdog. I always like the scenario. I mean, people hate some of these rules and the way, but these are the rules they go by the year when they start the year. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows that you're winning, you're in. And last year, I thought it was a great story. You know, that the 21 got his way in. So I'm looking for the 6 car this weekend to maybe figure it out and get himself one really nice last hurrah, because I don't know how much longer he's gonna. And he's not said nothing yet, but he's an owner now, and these things are getting harder and harder. And I think the 6 could do it.
Yeah, because what you're looking at this weekend is the fact that you have the 45 car and the 48 car on the bubble here in 15th and 16th in the playoff standings. Chris Buescher is just behind, 60 points back. So not really in position to point his way in. It could be a fluke. opportunity to where he could still point his way in if the 45 or the 48 had massive trouble in the 60 or in the 17, won both stages and finished, either or finished second or whatever. You could maybe point your way in.
Yeah.
But there is a chance here, if there is a winner from below the cut line, that a 2311 car or a Hendrick Motorsports car is going to be eliminated from the playoffs. And both of those guys are running or are in position in the driver's standings. Bowman is 9th in the driver's standings. Tyler Reddick is 7th. Now, for the folks that really, as you mentioned, don't like the playoff format or don't like that two guys that are in the top 10 could be eliminated from the playoffs, I would go back to 2022 and say that was maybe the most egregious example of that, when I think the 19 was like third or so in the top 5 in the standings and gets eliminated by the 12 making it in by the skin of his teeth at Daytona with a heroic effort by the road crew to get their car repaired and get the most points they could on the day after an accident. So my opinion, it's weird, my opinion on the playoff format and how we crown the champion, everything has evolved over like the last several weeks. Like before I was in that camp of, they give us the rules, we race by it, whatever. I mean, Ryan took advantage of it and won a championship, but I also felt like had a really solid year, but not necessarily the best team overall. Part of me is getting more of a soft spot for the straight up 36 point race schedule thing, just to see what happens. But I'm fine with I know that's never going to happen, so I'm fine with the 10.
Look what happened. Look what happened in a regular season. Okay, the regular season was only 26 races long, and in week 25 it was clinched.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing that will happen. Everybody loves this 36 idea. Not everybody loves it. Not everybody understands what would happen. And TV would go crazy because they're paying for 36 races.
Yeah.
And there's no way you get to the last 2 or 3 races of the season and have it where it's already been done with no drama, no storylines. This guy's regular season champ, he clinched it 2 weeks ago. And that happened more in NASCAR than anybody knows. You can go back and look at all the records of all the different years where the thing was clinched 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time, or they had to start the last race and the guy just had to start the race and he had clinched. They don't need that. These formats with playoffs and the concepts behind them are to get to the end where you've got a couple different people with a walk-off chance of winning, and really, really, build that drama and have those storylines of the couple cars. And the only time that would really go wrong is if 3 of the 4 cars crash early in that last race, and that hasn't happened yet either. So, yeah, I just get tired of that whole scenario about the 36 race thing. 36 race thing, every once in a while you have a great season where 2 guys would come down to it and be there at the end. But what they really need to do is figure out a way to tweak this thing where maybe make an 11 race playoff, and the last 3 races are 4 guys going through the 3 races for the championship or something, But you can't get this 36 race thing going anymore, because I'm just tired of the people who bring it up, really, because you're living in the past. You can't. The support. Here's the other thing about the sport with TV. I know I'm going off on a rail here, but during COVID, the sport survived, and the reason it survived was TV. And then TV and the networks that signed the new contract, it's the biggest contract they've ever had, right? And sure, it's split up between streaming and so on and so forth, but they paid the money for it. And it's the main reason that the 2311 guys are having a lawsuit right now. It's because they want to know exactly where all that money went. They want to know who's getting that money and where did it go, and why aren't we getting a better piece of it? Because it's helped the sport survive during this time period, obviously. And the teams think they would survive a little better if they had a little better piece of that pie, and they're trying to rip open the books to see. That's what the lawsuit comes down to. But the reality is TV pays the bills, and TV is why the sport is the way it is. Now, Saturday night over at Sharon Speedway, you can watch racing, where guys show up and they race that they've worked on, and they can do what they got with it. And some of the guys are better drivers than other guys, and they have better equipment, and they drive, and and they win every week or whatever. That's Saturday night. That's a lot of your local racetracks. NASCAR is a TV show. It's not necessarily just a sport. It's a TV show too. And they have to have drama, storylines, concepts that make people want to watch. The whole thing that they did for Prime this year where they had the brackets, they got blown up early on. Maybe they needed to figure out how to better seed the brackets or whatever. But on the other hand, for 3 or 4 weeks, we talked about the brackets, and we talked about the chance that somebody like Ty Dillon could win the bracket, So it works. They figured out things that work, and it works. And, that's in the middle of the season when it's like the ho-hum time of the year. So like all these things are about TV, and, somebody once said that about it's all about money, right? Follow the money. So if you want to be mad at something, you can probably be mad at TV, but if you want to continue watching the sport, guess what? That's what it's going to take. If you don't want to watch, you might have to get out now because the next contract isn't done till another 3 or 4 more years. And the next contract, if it's a big one again, they're going to want to do some of the same things. Okay, I'm off my soapbox.
No, here's my opinion that no one really cares about. And I'm weird. I actually don't care what the playoff format is once the playoff starts.
Mm-hmm.
It could still be one race wins it all. It could be a 3 race. It could be a 4 race. I actually don't care. It's really just the win and you're in thing. I think I think they could get rid of the win and you're in and just go to like a 10 driver playoff or something. I think if they got rid of win and you're in and they went to, it should go down to 10 because at least that way multiple guys that won races won't make the playoff. So we can't say if it's 16 or whatever, basically there's a good chance that somebody that won wouldn't or would still make it anyway. But I think if the drivers are really adamant about this, like we want it to be the best of the best that goes and races for a championship, I say get rid of winning you're in and go back to just the 10 driver format. And then after the playoff starts, like I said, I actually don't care. I don't care how that works out, whatever. But if you're going to keep winning you're in, it has to stay to 16, just so that way, if there is a fluke winner or something, like not multiple guys are falling out of it because of that. So that's where I'm weird. I'm like, whatever. They can just they can do that. But if they went back to 36 points races to crown a champion, I'm fine with that too. But it's never gonna happen, like you said. We're in a playoff era. There's going to be some form of playoffs going forward. At some point, you just have to accept that. But they're going to potentially, and it doesn't sound like it's going to happen for next year, but at some point they're hopefully going to tweak some things.
Well, here's the thing about winning you're in or whatever. Maybe they need to like hand out bonus points instead. Like back in the day, they used to have
part I forgot. I forgot that part. Double or triple the winning
points or something because you've got one guy
that's right
who won 4 this year that if you got rid of the win, he's not where he would need to be in the point standings. And understandably so, that's part of why people are upset. That's probably part of why you get this discord. But if let's say you gave them triple the points for winning that, or something, so that it would help, it would still give value to winning the races. I guess is what I'm trying to say. So maybe it's something like that. But once again, they've always tweaked the points and how points have been handed out. And used to be there was a whole different scale of points. So maybe it's something like that. We got ideas. At least we're coming with ideas, right? Don't just come with problems. Come with ideas and how to fix it.
And thanks for bringing that up. That was one key part of my opinion and it's actually an opinion Denny Hamlin has, is people want the wins to matter. So when fans kept saying they want wins to matter, that's when NASCAR was like, okay, well, win and you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they went too far. It's like, no, well, let's make wins really matter when it comes to how many points you earn for them. And that's kind of his stance too. Yeah. Is that. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because that was kind of where I was at on that whole thing. So again, so much comes down to this weekend with Ryan Blaney. I said to you before we even started to record this show that I'm super nervous about this race, just because of the opportunity that sits in front of them. The fact that he could get so much more bonus points. One, if he could win the race, and if he wins the race, then that means there's a very likely good chance that he finishes second overall in the regular season standing. So I'm just hoping and praying for a really solid race for them, a clean race, even if they don't get stage points, at least stay clean and finish well and have an opportunity to move up those positions in the point standings and put themselves in the best possible position when it comes to the reset for the playoffs. So again, if you want to tune in this weekend, things kick off on Friday, August 22nd, 5:05 p.m. Eastern time. You have qualifying for the NASCAR Cup Series on True TV, MRN, SiriusXM, NASCAR Radio, and then the Coke Zero Sugar 400 from Daytona International Speedway, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, streaming on Peacock, on TV, on NBC, in-car cameras on HBO Max, MRN, SiriusXM, NASCAR Radio on the radio, and again, Saturday night race, so make sure you set your fantasy lineups right after qualifying, or in this case, you could probably do it even before qualifying.
Yeah,
Expect
sure.
Fords to be fast, and then go from there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Steve. I think that mostly wraps it up. Episode 200.
Yes.
In the
Thank
book.
you. Thank you for all these episodes. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, thank you for being here for all 200. As I said earlier, thank you to wife Kate Mez for filling my chair anytime that I've been out for a variety of reasons. Thank you for pretty much never missing a race. And even when you're at the track and you're not watching on TV, for coming home and rewatching the race and watching the in-car cameras, taking all your notes, because you're the one that makes it possible for us to do kind of the in-depth analysis when it comes to all the strategies and the passing and everything that's the nuances of what's happened during a race that I know a lot of our followers and listeners tune in for in the first place. So as always, thank you to you as well. Thank you to everybody from the 12 team that's helped us out in the last 5 years and got us all the way to 200 episodes. I brought up the fact that we've interviewed all those folks. Take a look at our YouTube channel. If you search for Team Blaney on YouTube, go to our channel. If you click on interviews, you will see a series of interviews, 3 interviews with Ryan, again, crew chiefs, car chiefs, engineers, pit crew members, transporter drivers. I mean, everybody top to bottom has had an opportunity to come on and share their story with us. And that's been one of the best parts about doing this, and is going to keep us motivated to keep doing this. And hopefully we'll have another opportunity to bring you a recap of the next time Ryan Blaney becomes a NASCAR Cup Series champion. So as I said, this pretty much wraps up this episode of the Team Blaney podcast. Thank you everyone for tuning in, whether it is live right now on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok, or if you're listening to this tape delayed on your favorite podcast platform. We really, really appreciate it. During the week and on race day, you can find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search for Team Blaney. We'd also like to encourage you to support the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation. Ryan's official charitable organization benefits brain health causes like UPMC Sports Medicine and the Alzheimer's Association. To learn more, visit RyanBlaneyFamilyFoundation.org or follow them as well on Facebook, X, and Instagram. For my co-host Steve Mez, I'm Adam Rogers. We'll catch you next time right here on the Team Blaney podcast.
Good night, Zwol. Check out the TikTok.